And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another OSR Tabletop live stream with myself, Richard GM Bloodworth. And as you can see by the title, I am going to be talking about last week's big brouhaha over an Elon Musk comment that was on, hold on one second, let me change that, sorry. So a comment that Elon Musk made on Twitter or X concerning the the way that Wizards of the Coast and Ben Riggs, who is a surrogate of Wizards of the Coast, have been talking about disparaging and basically twisting the history to their narrative of Dungeons and Dragons, and in particular of the way that Gary Gygax, the way that they wish to represent Gary Gygax in just in the hobby in general, but in particular in the light of how old school Dungeons and Dragons is viewed by new people in the hobby, and so I am going to be spending some time not only going to the X posts that really brought this to light, and I will comment that the way I discovered it was kind of secondhand, and that the original post or tweet, if you still call them tweets on X. The original tweet was actually from a different individual, and I am going to highlight that as well. So I'm going to give full credit to the original source, but most of the traction in this came from the second recounting of the article, and and that's most likely due to the source of the recounting of that, and I will spend some time pointing that out as well. So I do have the comments section open, so you're free to comment in there. I will be posting a link if you wish to join in the backstage area, and then come on in to actually chat about this. Give me some of your own insight onto this, and some of your own reactions as well. So you're welcome to join in the chat on screen if you wish to, and I will be posting that since I see there's a number of you viewing right now. So I will put out that invite first. And here we go. And so there we have it. So there is the invite. You are welcome to jump in. As soon as I see you in backstage, I'll bring you in a moment. So let's do a little share. And I am going to share the first, so my first notification of what was going on here. So, hey Peter, how's it going? I had some video that I'm going to be doing, talking about Deadlands, and what I'm particularly looking to be running at Rising Phoenix. So looking forward to sharing that. I'll probably get to that before the holiday, so I'll probably get to that by either tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. So looking forward to your response to that as well. But here we go. I'm going to share this here, And so this was my first encounter with this. So it came from Grums. Now, Grums, if you're not aware, Grums is Mark Kern, who is a CEO and designer, the former team lead for OG World of Warcraft. So I guess that's old guard. World of Warcraft, the producer, Diablo 2, StarCraft. I guess it's Emirate, Emirate, lead, Firefall. I mean, many of these, Chrono Trigger. This is someone who has, quite a bit of experience in the video game sphere. So kind of interesting that he is coming in on something that is almost exclusively Dungeons and Dragons. However, if you think about it, um, someone who is someone who is in the video game industry would certainly probably got their start with Dungeons and Dragons at some point in their early childhood or whatever. So it's not surprising that someone within the hobby and considering it's the computer role playing game hobby that he comes from, it's not surprising that he would bring this up as well. So D&D creators, Gygax and others, are erased and slandered at the same time. Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro just released the new Player's Handbook and Dungeon Master's Guide, as well as the 50th anniversary making of D&D book. Now, I'm correcting. He has the 40th anniversary. It's actually the 50th anniversary. And I did a full video talking about this anniversary edition, the making of D&D 1970 to 1974, I believe, and talking about the disclaimer that was put into that book as well, and you can certainly check that out on my channel. It was probably one of the most popular and most watched videos on my channel in the last 6 months or more. So anyway, um, now Grums here actually spoke with one of the original creators, Robert Kuntz of Three Line Studios, and again, we've been watching Robert Kuntz really lash out at Wizards of the Coast and its disclaimers and its constant drumbeat of disparaging remarks and comments made about the original creators and of Dungeons and Dragons, as well as in many cases talking about the consumers of old school Dungeons and Dragons as well, um, and basically saying that if we don't address it the way that they say that we're supposed to address it, if we're not acknowledging their perception, then we're part of the problem as well. So he goes in and he puts this out. Now, he does put the original post, and I'm going to put it here. So it comes from Corpse Kings, all right? And I have highlighted Corpse King's game on TTRPG on my channel previously as well. All right, so this is the original, and it at least puts it here, but I don't think it gives him enough credit for this. But this guy co-created one of the most important games of all time, but you hardly ever hear about it from the current IP holders. I wonder why that is. Well, if they mentioned him too often, they would have to actually come out there and criticize him because they can't avoid um, lodging criticism against the original creators of Dungeons and Dragons. So they just can't break themselves away from from disparaging Those that don't have a voice to speak out against it, because the original creators, both Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson, have both passed. So it's kind of like a cowardly jab at people who can no longer defend themselves. So Grums goes on and he speaks here that one of the main issues, cite Rob, that the last surviving member of the OG crew were that D&D historians who write books and articles about the hobby and are left-leaning and continuously slam the problematic creators of the early books. Their problem, not once did they ever reach. So not once did they ever reach the out to ask or interview Rob Kuntz or any of the other original creators, that are still around. I mean, they could speak to Robert Kuntz, they could speak to Frank Mentzner, they can speak to Tim Kask, and many, many others that are still around. I mean, geez, they could speak directly to any of the Gygax members. So whether it be Luke or Heidi or Elise, I believe is another of the daughters who actually played, tested Dungeons and Dragons in its earliest form. They can speak to any of those individuals, and still have a connection to people who directly have knowledge, and even if they wanted to say, well, we're not going to talk to immediate family members because they're of course going to support their father or whatnot. There are still other people in the industry who have met Gary Gygax in person and know the man and know what he actually believed and supported and even pushed for in the hobby. So again, they're just taking these jabs, almost continuous jabs at the founding members of the hobby, and instead of honoring the individuals, they are just continuously pushing against that any kind of honoring of them. So he brings this up. Grums brings this up, and eventually Elon Musk comes in. So here you have clearly the most influential person on X chimes in. All right, and it is Elon Musk. He says, nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to trash Gary Gygax and the geniuses who created Dungeons and Dragons. What the fuck is wrong with Hasbro and WOTC? May they burn in hell. So this is kind of the tweet heard around certainly the hobby, and I'm sure that it has made news elsewhere also. So I'm going to stop sharing now, and I will take a look at what some of you are putting out here, but I'm kind of leaning towards a a choice that I made the choice quite a while ago, that I was not going to, on my YouTube channel, cover any product by Wizards of the Coast, and and I haven't done so in quite a number of years. So it's been quite some time that I have not purchased anything from Wizards of the Coast, and I have not I have not showcased anything of theirs on my channel, and that's a choice. That was a choice that I made quite a number of years ago. My channel is exclusively OSR and independent tabletop role playing games with a mix of computer role playing games thrown in there as well. Now, did I do some Baldur's Gate coverage? Yes, I did, because that was pre that was pre the Wizards of the Coast today. That was a deal that was cut prior to 2019, where I pretty much draw the line of old D&D 5e, and then the now more modern version of 5e, which I do not consider to be Dungeons and Dragons at all. So so and I haven't really done anything with even Baldur's Gate 3 since its launch, for the most part. Um, it's a great game. Larian Studios did a fantastic job with it, but to continue to support anything of Wizards of the Coast, I'm just not going to do that. Even though they probably don't get any money from any additional sales of it, I'm just not going to bother with it. But anyway, let's go to some of your comments. Yeah, Peter. So good. Getting back to our kind of internal conversation that I was having with Peter. Yes, I'm starting to prepare for writing an adventure using Deadlands, Suede, and making that ready for my April convention. So anyway, so Woke on the Coast doesn't care about elements that matter, history, mythology, etc. Only the message matters. They hate you, stop buying their products. Yeah, and that's the key. I think that uh, I would like to see many, other content creators that are out there on YouTube. I know there was a massive swell of anti sentiment towards Wizards of the Coast when the OGL first, the OGL debacle first hit, and and some of them returned right back to it. Others have, kind of stayed away or mixed it a little bit more with some OSR coverage and independent coverage, but it's this constant drumbeat that Wizards of the Coast and its surrogates keep on going, keep on thumbing their nose, keep on sticking their fingers in the eyes of the fans and the creators that kept this game going for 45 years, without them, their um, without their discouragement and their disparity that they direct at the creators. I know I've seen some comments where it's like, well, they don't mention the creators enough. Every time they mention them, it's always negative. So I wish that they would just keep Gary Gygax's name out of their mouth. All right, I mean, just don't talk about it. Their whole premise of their disclaimers is, well, if we don't mention it, that would be ignoring the problem that existed. No, there was no problem that existed. All right, and they're so desperate to try to create one that that's the that's the problem with it, is that they're trying to create something negative so that they can say, as a virtual single, oh, we're so much better than that was. This is, and you should come and buy our stuff, which is, quite frankly, is just nowhere near in the same league as old school Dungeons and Dragons, and there were so many other better games out there that are modern games today that have, either the modern mechanics or they're retro clones of the old school, that are just by and large superior to what 5e, even in its first, initial core books of 5e, and certainly anything after, like I said, 2019 or so. So anything, Tasha's and forward is all crap. All right, it's literally crap, and this is what they're trying to elevate by tearing down everything that came before it. And that's not the way that you're going to make your turd sandwich taste any better, by saying, well, that is even worse of a turd sandwich than this turd sandwich. All right, so you should eat this one instead. It doesn't work that way, and the fact that their they hide their sales. They try to obscure it with other things, and other ways of tricking around with numbers and such. It's an indicator that they realize, they know that they're promoting a losing product, and the only way that they can elevate it is by attacking the old, that it will always be compared to, and that's what I think really sticks them the most, is that when you do that comparison, it's they lose, in every case they lose. So let's see. Hello, Wayne. It's good to see you. I don't recognize your name, so if you're a first time coming in, welcome to the channel. So, isn't it funny that they told us we were racist because we only have orcs as a representation of black people, and that's wrong. And then they themselves go ahead and turn in orcs into Mexicans. Yeah, orcs. I think you're meant to type turn orcs into Mexicans. Yeah, I mean such a bizarre thing for them to do. And when they did their Space Jammer, or Spelljammer, I'm sorry, when they did their Spelljammer, and they created the background, and this was Wizards of the Coast created the background of the Hatter-Z, and then they tried to they lied. They lied and said that, well, they got this from the original material source, and it shouldn't have come out. That was an outright lie, because it did not come from Star Frontiers. It did not come from TSR. It came directly from them. And so they are so adverse to taking responsibility for their own lies and nonsense and messes, that they'll always, as a fallback, blame the original creators. All right, and so it's tiring. It's tiring to see that this is their default response to anything that occurs negative that's directed at them because they caused it. It's tiring to see their constant assault on the memory and legacy of the creators, that they are, still willing to sell their products and make the money off of it, but they try to at the same time distance themselves, which is the worst form of hypocrisy that I think is, that I think that you can find an example of. I mean, there's nothing close to that level of hypocrisy that they have. So let's see. So they just did the very same thing, factually, that they falsely accused players of doing. Yes, I mean it's they're the only ones, or their ilk, their following, are the only ones that try to make these real world connections, to a fantasy game system, and with fantasy creatures that do not exist. And even when they try to compare them, to, let's say, orcs on the example, and they'll go back to Tolkien and they'll say, well, Tolkien was racist too, and to, and when you look at Tolkien's works and you look at how he wrote about them and he talks about where they derive from, they're still wrong in because they didn't understand what he was saying, about them as well. So they just keep on stepping in on it, and there's an expression, you're stepping on your own dick, and that's basically Wizards of the Coast, in a nutshell, and they are, absolutely, um, the worst of the they're the worst of the stewards of any IP I have ever encountered, and that's saying a lot, considering, um, all of the various things that I've seen in computer RPGs and MMOs and whatnot. I mean, we've seen, maybe Disney and Star Wars or Disney and Marvel, might rival what Hasbro is doing, and what Wizards of the Coast. I know sometimes people try to separate the two, but I can't give them a pass anymore. I cannot give Wizards of the Coast a pass anymore. They are clearly, buying into, following along with, or whatnot of, what Hasbro is pushing, and what their surrogates are pushing as well. So, hey Wayne, thanks a lot for that. For that super chat. I've been following you for a long time, and I just don't comment a lot. I do have a rewatch. Why a hot percentage of your why percentage of your video? Well, thank you very much, Wayne, and it's great to have you here, and thanks for your continued support. So things like orcs and dark elves do go way back in history. Well, dark elves were actually sometimes dwarves in some cases, where dwarves were known as dark elves as well. Um, a drow elf in Germanic tradition, all right, is the spirit that comes from the night, sits on your chest, and steals your breath. It was a superstitious explanation of why people died in their sleep, for example. Yeah. And yes, many of these things. And of course, Tolkien was pulling many of these ideas and these representations from old Nordic mythology and whatnot. So it's not surprising that you would have some of these portrayals, and and it's there was nothing wrong with it then. There's nothing wrong with it now. There is, it is all just creative license in a fantasy fiction depiction of, creatures, monsters, whatever you want to call them. So again, I'm going to put in if anyone wants to join in and chat, there is the link. Um, oh yeah, speak to text isn't perfect. Yeah, it's yeah, I know that for sure. And neither is autocorrect. Autocorrect is probably even worse. But yes, speech to text is not perfect. So, um, but anyway, let's go to now. I've been looking at some of the other comments that have been coming out, and I've been looking at what we've seen on what we've seen on Facebook as well, and Heidi Garland Gygax, or Gygax Garland. Sorry, got it in reverse. She actually put out a commentary, and I'm not going to focus too much on that because you know she clearly you know, does not agree with that, with what was said by Ben Riggs in particular. And I think she's a little bit too, giving him a little bit too much uh, credit or leeway or whatever in his depiction of it. Because I mean, he's come straight out and said, in writing, Gary Gygax was, a sexist, a misogynist, a bigot, and whatnot. And she's like, well, I think that a lot of what Ben Riggs said was, taken out of context. No, it wasn't. I mean, it was pretty straightforward. So it's kind of like they're, I can understand in one sense why they don't want to just push back really hard on this. And then another part of me says, um, at some point, they should really just push back hard and say, no, you know what, we're tired of this, and call out Wizards of the Coast for doing so, and push back on that, that whole idea of, well, in the context of what was suitable back then is no longer is not suitable today. Well, no shit. I mean, people are going to change the way that they think about things over 50 years. All right. But the point is that you don't have to crap on those ideas back then. We're talking about games here. We're not talking about anything that is doing harm to anyone, and to go back to that point and to say, well, this would not be acceptable today. That's fine to say that certain ideas aren't acceptable in 50 years later. um, but you don't have to take it to the point of saying, and so that person was a despicable human being, which is essentially what they're saying, and what they're not coming out directly and saying it. They're saying it in a roundabout way, but they're constantly hammering away at it. So let's see. Somewhere along the way in academia, people started to judge people in history and their works and ideas through the unfair lens of presentism. Yes, I call it chronocentrism. All right. So if you don't like the terminology of ethnocentrism and you think that that's a very bigoted or biased view of different cultures, well, when you use presentism or chronocentrism, you're basically using an unfair lens and a biased lens. So it's not just unfair; it's biased, and it's biased to promote your own moral, values higher than those of the past. And so WOTC is one of the many that do that. Yeah, and they're one of the worst that do that as well. I am going to put them, at the top of that pyramid of some of the worst violators of presentism bias that's out there. I mean, again, it's almost like the way that Disney has treated the IPs that it has control of. Maybe not to the same level of destruction that Disney has done to Star Wars, but it's really damn close. D&D was never as large as Star Wars as a franchise, but they're certainly doing everything that they can, I think, to destroy it. And we're seeing all these steps that they're taking, with the tabletop RPG iteration of Dungeons and Dragons, and they're doing everything they can to destroy it. They really don't want to be in the business of tabletop gaming to begin with. They want it to be strictly digital, strictly all video game that they can then market like like Monopoly Go. If they could package D&D as a D&D Go, and they would do so in a heartbeat. All right, and they will stop producing anything tabletop role playing wise. The only thing that they want to do is they want to prevent anybody else from doing so. Unless they did something along the lines of like you have with the Conan the Barbarian IP that does have separate divisions that are, that are sold off and controlled piecemeal in some ways. Um, Although they're all in the hands right now with Heroic Signatures, which is a division of Funcom or vice versa. But that's something that I would love to see for the former TSR IP and all of its game products that came out of TSR, including Dungeons and Dragons, is that the tabletop IP for D&D and those other TSR things are sold off. And some other company that actually cares about producing tabletop role playing products from the TSR IP lines would actually be able to do so. And I think that they can keep their Magic the Gathering and their D&D label for for merchandising and that kind of thing, but let people who genuinely care about Dungeons and Dragons and the legacy of TSR and its creators, let them run with that in that industry, separate from Wizards of the Coast and separate from Hasbro as well. And many people were joking, and but I mean, it's not so much of a joke if you think about it. With Elon Musk jumping in on it and saying, they can burn in hell. I mean, it would, I believe he made about $30 billion in a day. Um, uh, the entire D&D IP wouldn't cost 3 billion. You know what I'm saying? So it's like a drop in the bucket for him. If he approached Hasbro and said, "Hey, I will buy the D&D franchise from you. What's the price?" And it would be a price that is literally 1% or even 0.5% of what he can make in in a year. It's nothing to him. So in the late 50s, early 60s, it is when that began in academia. Um, Yeah, I would say probably late 60s more so. And as the academia and probably early 70s, it really started taking root. As somebody who was in education for 26 and a half years, I can certainly tell you that, you know, the, the university level academia in particular really started to shift by the late 70s. And, and there was, just depending on what kind of school you went to and, what subject areas you were going for, it was pretty clear where education kind of stood and those separations of education and whether or not they were being politicized, let's say. Yeah, there's been a huge politicization of education, especially higher ed. Dismal has almost completely destroyed itself. Sad to see about absolute necessary garbage, racist company. Yeah, Disney. That was supposed to be Disney. Uh, the meltdown from Elon buying WOTC would be gloriously epic. Yeah, it certainly would be, but I think he's in the process of probably buying MSNBC instead, right now at least. But the point is that once he got it, stuck in his radar, again, like I said, it's a drop in the bucket. He literally made $30 billion in one day, about a week and a half ago. So I'm sure that if he wanted to, he could buy that IP without even a blink, and it would be glorious. You're damn straight. Move it straight off the west coast there, and move it into move it into a state where it will thrive. I mean, could that be Wisconsin? I'm not sure. You know, but it certainly should not stay in Redmond, Washington. That's just the wrong place for it. So let's see. Gygax was just a stand in punching bag. They really meant all the old problematic players and their communities. It is the subtext of their statement. Yes, of course. I mean, bottom line is that just like going back to Kyle Brinks's thing, you know, people who look like me can't get out of the hobby fast enough. All right, and that's what they genuinely, that's what they genuinely desire. That's what they genuinely mean. But the reality is that we still represent a super majority of the of the consumer population, and and what really gets under their craw is that we have too much access to too many other alternatives to them, and that's what they really hate, is the fact that there are so many other better games than what they produce, including uh, virtually every older edition of TSR Dungeons and Dragons is just better than what they produce. And that's what I think really it's all driven by jealousy as well. Yep. So, and now we're here, the era of the postmodern modernism and the 197 genders. Yes. I think there was over 200. By the way, I think it was like 213. Uh, WOTC would be pocket money for him. Absolutely. Absolutely. All of WOTC would be pocket money for him. I'm just talking about the D&D IP. I'd be satisfied with that because I have never played Magic the Gathering, never intended to play it. I don't own a single card. And it's just not for me. It's just not my kind of game. So, they can keep that for all I'm concerned. So there will be a large schism in our subculture, I posit. Yeah, I think that as things keep on moving forward and everything, you know, uh, Wizards of the Coast is being sued by some of their shareholders, at least, about them hiding overstock. Um, so they had a vast amount of overstock of 5e product, and and they hid that um, so they can lie about share value, or about profits, because having overstock means that you didn't sell, and that is a pure sign that they are losing money, not retaining it. Because the longer they hold on to that stuff, that's why you had those things like Ollie's was selling some of their toy products and their other supplemental products for D&D for like 1/10 the cost that they originally had them, because it becomes more costly to store it than it does to sell it off at a 90% discount. Yes, yeah, and that's very, very possible. Although Gen Z is kind of rejecting a lot of this stuff as well. So it's primarily millennials. Um, that's pushing this stuff. There are better games currently in production than Dungeons and Dragons. Old Dungeons and Dragons is better. I played two advanced D&D games. Yeah, you know, I'm playing Castles and Crusades. I've played quite some time on Shadow Dark as well. Um, I play, getting ready to do a basic fantasy campaign, and all of those, every one of those is better than 5e, and certainly better than whatever they're putting out in 2024 and 25. Yeah, Hasbro is being sued, not Wizards of the Coast. But yeah, I mean it's all it's all, like I said, I'm not creating that separation anymore. I'm not going to say that, sometimes I'll type in I'll write Wizbro. There is no separation because the creatives at Wizards of the Coast, if they're that opposed to what Hasbro is doing in these portrayals and everything, then I mean, they probably know that the writing is on the wall. They'll probably get cut in December, like they did the last time. So they should go out the door. Basically saying, "Hey, I'm going to go to a different company, a different, like Mike Merles went to Chaosium, all right, for Call of Cthulhu. Um, these guys are going to look to go elsewhere when they do eventually get cut, because they will eventually get cut because Hasbro doesn't want to produce tabletop role playing products any longer. Yeah, toys aren't selling any longer. Um, Anymore, in the deplorable products that Disney put out, are not selling at all. Hasbro's eating a lot of that. Yes, they are eating a lot of that, of that cost, and Hasbro stocks have been showing it. Yeah, second edition. Yeah, yeah, AD&D second edition. Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of people really do like that system, and I've seen some people talking about, third edition was popular. Third edition was still not, was not WotC yet. And even 3.5 was technically still so tailored to pre WotC that even though it's marked as Wizards of the Coast, it's really not their product. Um, their product was clearly fourth edition, and then fifth edition, and then whatever you want to call this now. So let's see, and I am going to I'm going to try to see if I have some. I'm going to try to see if I have some memberships to still hand out, free memberships to hand out. So let's see. I have to go to this here. Just bear with me. I'm going to have to turn down on this. There we go. So let me see if I have any more free memberships to give out with this, and gift five. So these are my last five for the month. And so there we go. And Wayne, you just got a free membership. So Paul Hyrax, Rob Trimarco, and Lord Mateus. So congratulations to all five of you. You just received a free membership to the channel. That gives you all of the privileges of any other membership that that I have there. So if you head to my Discord channel and you just mention that, hey, I'm on a membership, I will give you the membership tag, and that will open you up to being able to join in on any of my games that I'm running. You can certainly sit in and listen to any of the games that I'm running, as well as also getting getting special invites or first dibs on any new campaigns that I'm about to run, and you'll be able to join in and do that. And then if you really like, being a member and getting all of that additional access, you can always sign up for a membership. I have them really, really cheap. The lowest one is like, 99 cents a month or something like that. I don't really push them as often as I, possibly should, but I've been giving out these free memberships now, 10 a month every month for like the last 6 months or so. So you're welcome to join in on that, and get as much out of it as you can. So let's see. Honestly, I like 3.5 as much as basic and AD&D. Yeah, and you know what? I have to spend some time digging into 3.5 a little bit more myself. I do have 3.5. I've given away all my 5 point or fifth edition stuff. I don't have any of the books any longer. I only had the core plus the the Sword Coast guide, but gave them all to my niece. So I just have, I still have fourth edition sitting in my closet. Eventually, I'll probably just give that away as like a donation at a convention, probably a local convention. I'll probably donate that out along with my. I also have third edition, which I'll get rid of. I might keep 3.5 because 3.5 has been the basis for a lot of OSR things. So I might just have it as something to take a look at, and see where some of those ideas came from. But other than that, I would probably never run it. Um, I own the three core rule books for 5e. Never played 5e. I bought one product, which was the Ravenloft book, and it was extremely disappointed. I'm disappointed in their monster manual as well. Yeah, it's well, what they did with Ravenloft was that was one of the first ones where they altered it so much they basically uh, tried to make it politically correct, and with like getting rid of the Visanti, I think, and gypsies, basically. Oh, that's racially biased and whatnot, or ethnically biased, or prejudiced or whatever. So they threw it out and put out something that's just not a great product. Um, you don't take something as iconic as Ravenloft and dramatically alter it from its original context. Same thing with the like they did with Dragonlance, and same thing that they do everything they touch, they turn to shit. So it's just a sad state of affairs that they hold the IP, and anytime they touch anything, I mean, they even changed Greyhawk to the point that it's just a mess. It's just not, they change things just for the sake of changing things to say, oh, these things were, Kesser was called the Snow Barbarians. Now it's, oh no, you can't call groups barbarians anymore. Just bizarre way of thinking. Let's see. Yes, and you're most welcome. Let's see. I pretend TSR made it though to assuage my guilt. Yeah. Well, its core writers were still TSR writers more so than they were the newer group that came in, after the fact. Um, yeah, I've played 5e 6 times. And the 2 times that I actually enjoyed it, they stripped everything that makes 5e 5e out of it. And that was the only 2 times that I actually enjoyed it. And those game masters, um, basically, they ran it the way that Wizards of the Coast kind of sets it up to be. They were very short campaigns. Like we did like 3 sessions or 4 sessions, and then I was like, okay, we're done. It was all like, essentially one shots, or 2 3 sessions, and that was it. And all right, now you're 5th level, and we're going to stop at this point. It just wasn't a great experience. Um, So I don't know why anyone takes WOTC seriously anymore. Honestly, we shouldn't buy things from people that hate us. Yeah, yeah, and I mean that's the biggest thing. But not only you shouldn't buy it, and I try not to tell people what to do and what not to do with their own money. But you know, don't give them any credit for anything either. Like just don't recognize the things that they do, and try to certainly protect the hobby from their stuff. That's what I'm doing here. I'm not promoting anything in particular. I'm just saying don't buy into this narrative that they're pushing, and hold them accountable for that narrative that they're pushing, that false narrative that they're pushing. The 3E version of Ravenloft materials were good. I run them a lot, utilizing 2E and 1E versions in the campaigns. Good stuff. Yeah. Um, hey, Off Grid, how's it going? Good to see you. And again, if anyone wants to join, let me get caught up. So if anyone wants to join in, but wait, the new Ravenloft novel is going to be epic. Who's writing it? I don't know if you're being sarcastic too, um, but who's writing the new one? Once the generation that saw the real versions are gone, all that's left are the revised editions, and that, kids, is how the history works. Yeah, um, but we can keep on driving the point away that they're watering down the product, and they're diminishing the product on purpose, because they don't respect it, and they really don't deserve to have the IP that they do hold. Let's see. I'm waiting to see who the new author is. If there is a new author, it has a cover that just screams gothic horror. Neighbor of the Beast, I think that is the one. It has the cover that just screams horror, graphic horror, gothic horror, or horror. I'm gonna have to look it up, and check it out. So, new Ravenloft novel. Oh, is it Heir of Delilah Dawson? Heir of how is a book a hardcover? Like, why is a novel a hardcover? I don't get that. But anyway, let's see. Let's see the picture. I wish I could share the picture. I guess I could do. um, there of Ravenloft. So let me go back and Heir of Strahd, I mean. So let me go back. Let me just get the cover. So, and let's just get the image. And let's pull up as big an image as I can. That's a pretty big image. All right, I'm going to share this. Geez, I $30 for a novel. That's crazy. Oh, I can close this down. I'm going to get caught up with you guys in a second. And let's close all these other windows down. I'm going to share this. So this is what Dakota was talking about. I am going to share, and I will highlight so you can see this image here. First of all, yeah, he's not very scary looking, to say the least. And then look at this party. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty sad looking. So there we have that. Yeah, exactly. It's the last two I read were by Elrod. I believe Elrod's not too bad. Um, this one, just from the cover, looks like it's trash. I think they had Matt Posa Strad for the art. Yeah, okay. Everyone looks soy. Yes, exactly. Soy as hell. The way his hand is like, oh, hi, oh, hi. You know, looks bad. It just looks bad. Zero character. It's AI like in its soullessness. Yes, it is too. Um, it just looks terrible. And not for nothing, I don't like furries or you know animal animal featured creatures like birdmen and those kinds of things. It's not what I like in D&D. Yes, it is that the portrait of Robert E. Howard? Yes. So that's a displate. So I got Robert E. Howard, my favorite author. And then I have Conan 1982 poster on a displate as well. Um, Probably my favorite movie of all time. And then you can see my collection pretty much behind me there. So kind of spreads out way, like probably about two more sections beyond this point. But yeah, it's quite a collection, I will say. I would think that if the IP was acquired off WOTC and all the original D&D books, modules, and TSR box sets were released over time as done originally, a new era would dawn on role-playing. I absolutely agree. I think that, just the idea of, putting it out there in print on demand would also help them a great deal. Having it as also as PDFs and print, would do a great deal for it. And the reason why they'll only do like PDF or they will do print on demand for certain things of it. But again, that stupid disclaimer. This disclaimer just discourages people from discourages us from wanting to buy it, And it discovers new players because who wants to buy something that its own owner is basically saying, "Well, this is filled with misogyny, bigotry, and prejudice." I mean, it's like they intentionally don't want people to buy it, but then they'll claim, "Oh, well, we're making it available for," no, it's like you can go to eBay and find most of the stuff for, you know, 60, $70, which is about the cost of a hardcover now anyway. So they're not so far outpaced than, I mean, only certain things like the 144 page Deities and Demigods. Yeah, that's going to run you anywhere between, 120, which is what I paid for it, and like $200. But most of the stuff is comparable to the prices of hardcovers now anyway. And again, it's a better product. So she writes under the ghost Ava Lovelace. Um, yeah, Lovelace was a porn star back in the early or late '70s, early '80s. Linda Lovelace. Yeah, yeah, they're kind of lame. Even the new Dragonlance one that I got the audio of it. The new Dragonlance, that the main character of that, I don't even remember her name right now. She was annoying as hell. It was just not interesting. Certainly not what Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman are capable of writing. Um, he keeps on saying "neighbor of the beast." Um, like, yeah, heirs of Strahd. So yeah, so you have your original D&D, yeah, demigods, all 141 or 144. I forget if it's 141 or 144. But anyway, um, yeah, Linda, yes, Lord, yes. I'm just glad they don't put the disclaimer in the actual product or censor it. It's ironic that if they had the actual conviction, why buy problematic D&D from TSR? Just stop selling the legacy content. Yeah, I mean, it's. I almost wish that they would, because that is a. It's at least having some, um, a little bit less hypocritical. Let's put it that way. It's at least a little less hypocritical. Um, it's saying, well, we so disbelieve in this product that we're not even going to make money from it, and just mothball it like they really want to do anyway. But then they wouldn't be able to do that comparison between, what they think they're elevated, and that's not. So they need that out there, for them to basically thumb their noses at it. Yep, Linda Lovelace and someone named Marilyn Chambers. Yeah. Um, Same way, and have most of the original books. Yeah, I have. I re-established my collection, so I have all of the original AT&D First Edition. I have my white box. I have Holmes Edition. I have Moldvay. I have Beckme. So I have all of them all the way up, and then I have virtually everything from second edition. Maybe not all of the splat books, but all of the character class and racial splat books. I have all of those. Um, and then, like I said, I have 3.5. I do have 4.0. I have nothing beyond 4.0 as far as D&D is concerned. Yeah, yeah. I ran with Ravenloft a long time ago, and I put insanity mechanics in the game. Yeah, that's definitely a good thing to include in that as well. Um, I mean, the original Ravenloft. If you've not run the original Ravenloft or haven't played through it, that's an incredible adventure, and and really scary one too. I mean, it was it was quite deadly. Oh, sorry about that. That came out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, that was a really, really deadly one. So, again, a lot of fun though. A lot of fun to run it or to play it. I was a warped progression in their ideology over the 20 years. They got braver with time and finally went full Monty with all of the 6E crap and that garbage 50-year anniversary book. Yes. Um, so I would never own the white box. That would be racist. Yeah. So, um, well, that one's really sexist because they use the fighting man. Um, Ravenloft separate source books uses a horror insanity scale, kind of like COC. It's a riot. Yeah, yeah. I would definitely use Call of Cthulhu in for its sanity mechanics in there as well. Um, you want to really blow people's minds, use the insanity chart from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That'll really blow their minds apart. If you look at that, the original one, the even that was so quick that Palladium actually no not yeah Palladium actually changed the they changed that one in probably within like 2 years of it originally being put out there, and they changed that whole chart. But anyway, okay, so wow, it's almost 11 o'clock here. Yeah, I gotta I mean, this is I got a late start on this one as well, but I think I'm going to just kind of summarize where I was coming with this video or this live stream is that I think it's about time that we really do start really pushing back on the constant uh, disparaging of the original content creators of Dungeons and Dragons. And sometimes they even lash out at other creators of other game systems from back during that same era as well. So it's not solely focused on Gary Gygax, but primarily so because um, he's just an easy target for them. And I think there is a lot of jealousy on the part of Wizards of the Coast for what Gary was able to do. I mean, he was so creative and he was so expansive in his interests and what he recommended people do with their gaming as well. Gary was truly a gamer's gamer. kind of individual. And even when he was at the head of TSR, he was still encouraging people to play other game systems, and to expand their horizons. It's something that I keep on harping at on my channel, is to, go out there and play new game systems. And even if you don't run everything that you have, I mean, I am certainly not going to run everything that I have behind me, but I certainly read through them, and I look to see, what kind of ideas, how did these ideas come about? And, I look at it in a very academic way, in some cases. And there's maybe one or two books behind me that I was like, I wish I didn't buy this. This is really not that useful in any real way. Um, but that's one or two books out of, 150, 200 game systems that I have behind me. So it's I think that the more that you expand what you're looking at, and what you're playing or what you're running, the more engaged in the hobby you're going to be, and the better you'll be at it as well. And then, like Gary said in his books and everything, if you wanted to further expand your skill in, um, in or your participation in the hobby, is to change up what modes of play you're doing. If we really did have, online role playing, with VTTs and such in 2008 and earlier, before Gary Gygax passed away, he would have been right on board with, oh yeah, definitely play it online, or definitely, well, he always pushed playing at conventions. To him, that was the pinnacle of game mastery, was game mastering at conventions, which is why I'm a huge proponent of that as well. So, but yeah, he was absolutely, um, encouraging that we all play as many different game systems and different genres as well. And that's, I think, something that is very important for us to, recognize him for. You know, instead of trashing him for all of these nonsense things that they trash him for, I think that they would serve themselves better if they got over their jealousy and just came out and said, you know what? He encouraged us to play many different game systems. He encouraged us to play in different kinds of settings, whether it's at your table at home, and then at a local library or a local game store, and at a convention, and push all of these ideas, and not just tie yourself down in one genre, but experience many different genres. I mean, these are all of the things that Gary Gygax talked about, and go to that. I mean, they look at the things that Dave Arneson did, and bring him up as well. Um, Now, I know they have less fodder to use against Dave Arneson, but so they just leave him, completely out. They obscure, his presence, in the founding of the hobby as well. So these are the things that I think, is something that we should keep on promoting, as how much they gave to the hobby, and keep on counter every time they're talking about, these other things, with stories about, or what you've read in Gary's books, or what you've read about the history of the game, or watched on a video from, like, the Secrets of Blackmore, and what Dave Arneson actually did for the hobby in general, moving forward, because he was really, the brainchild, or Robert Kuhn's another one, like just so much stuff that he was putting out, or Dave Wesley that they don't ever mention, and so all of these people back then that really created the hobby that we're all participating in. I'll get to some of your comments here, um, and then we'll get ready to wrap up. Yeah, and thanks a lot, Mac, for coming in. Yes, old gamers unite. Absolutely, sons of Gygax, old gamers unite. Yes, and let's see. And Wayne, I agree. I can understand a talking spell using Ancient Dragon, but talking turtles, yes. Well, it was done though. It was done well. It was certainly done well with the talking turtles. With Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is a classic. Um, and the Ninja Rat, then Wacko Delusion of a rare one. Yeah. So Bob the World Shoulder had the most deranged take on it today. Never took the guy serious. Now officially file him under the part of the problem. Oh, I haven't watched his yet. I watched like Professor Dungeon Masters, and I like his stuff. He is certainly not a show. I don't even think he gets invited to anything that's going on. I haven't seen Bob the World Builders. I didn't try to watch anybody else's take because I like to keep my take as unique as possible and unaltered by their takes, and so I haven't watched anybody else's response to this. I just saw that I know Bob Will did one. I know that um, Professor Dungeon Master did one. I typically like his stuff anyway. I like. I know Eric Tenkar talked about it as well. I'm sure eventually everybody will. This is a story that's going back a couple of days already, so um, I was kind of busy this weekend, so I didn't get a chance to actually chime in on it. But wanted to get this out there and at least put my own spin on things. And now I'll take a look at what others have said and see. So yeah, I mean, if he's I haven't seen anybody really grill Ben Riggs's take, which I think is an atrocious take. I put Ben Riggs at the same. It's like he's trying to make a name for himself with with his comments, his bad takes. So I guess bring attention back to his book, which is probably crap anyway. So I didn't bother looking at his book or whatever he has to do with the new history of it. I'm not even sure. Would never even. I wouldn't buy that book for a penny. I'm all in on the movement. I'll wear a T-shirt or hat at a con that supported Guy Gax's right. Another triggering slogan. Lol. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, put one of his things there. Um, yeah, that would be an awesome thing to do, especially at Page, because his daughter is going to be there. So that would be a funny thing to have one of Gary's lines there from whether it's Dragon's Foot or any of those websites that they keep on jumping at. Gygax rules, WOTC drools. Yeah. Um, I call Bob World Builder Beta Bob. Um, well, I'll see. I'll have a chance to meet him and see how he is in person. Surprisingly, people are a lot different in person than they are, on the screen. Um, yeah, I think at the time, Ironcaster, it was. I think the NBC thing was first, and then he made the D&D comment, but then it's more likely that he would buy MSNBC than because I think that NBC is looking to sell it off. I mean they're pretty tired of. Or Comcast is looking to sell it off because it's literally losing their money. Yeah, I know Amazon is selling the book now for $50, and that's still grossly overpriced for a hardcover. I don't care how many pages it is either. Um, since most of the stuff is just cut and paste from previously written books. Like I did a video on that too, where I was talking about it. You can get John Peterson's book on the history of Dungeons and Dragons, and then you can get the same documents that they put there free because they were part of a court decision and court discovery. So you can get all of that material free online, and you just print that out, and you have that same book in your hand. You just don't have it bogged down with that stupid disclaimer that they did like a page and a half disclaimer with it instead of you just have the regular books for like $25. Discord message. All right. Yeah, if any of you have not been to my Discord, let me do that before I log off here. So I am going to post my Discord link in the channel here, and you are welcome to, you know, please populate my Discord so that you'll have a chance, especially those of you that got the free membership. That's really, really important. Um, so let me find my Discord link, and I'm definitely going to invite people. Let's change. This is so complicated sometimes. Um, all right. And here we go. We're going to have a Discord. Uh, so here is my Discord link. If any of you are interested, you can jump in on the Discord. So there is my Discord. Feel free to join in. Uh, Let me know who you are on here. If you have a different name on there, just say, "Hey, I was at your live stream," and I will give you I'll friend you, and then once you're a friend or whatever, I will attach to you the appropriate title. I'll put almost everybody is a player on there, so I'll put player. And if you're a game master, I'll give you a game master tag. And if you're a member, I'll give you a member tag. And in some cases, I'll give you multiple tags depending on what you're actually looking to do there. So, and everything there is gaming related. So, have a number of things going on over there. And if you have any suggestions that you want over there, like, hey, can you create a section for this particular game? And I will certainly be willing to do that. And then you can have a general chat there as well. I like to build up my my Discord server, quite a bit. So you're all welcome to join. I've been on it for a while. I think his name is. Please drop the Discord invite. Yep, there it is. Anyway, so there is the Discord invite. So make sure you check on that. And we're coming up on 11 p.m. here. So, hey, everyone, thanks a lot for joining in. Thanks a lot for the super chat. And you know, everyone, I look forward to seeing you. If I don't see you between now and Thanksgiving, if you're in the States, welcome. Welcome. Enjoy your holiday. And I know Canadians, they celebrated their Thanksgiving like 3 weeks ago or something like that. I was like, oh, okay. But for all of you in the States, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving coming up, enjoy your Thanksgiving holiday. And as I said earlier in a video today, I will probably only be doing some videos tomorrow and Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday morning, I will be kind of indisposed. And then Saturday evening, I'll probably do a video Saturday and Sunday. I'll be back to my regular schedule come then. Um, so let's see. Who is the spineless fan? Who is the spineless? Uh, who are we talking about? You're still talking about uh, the guy. He's also been furiously shadow deleting YouTube comments all afternoon. You're still talking about Bob the World Builder? Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. All right. Um, so again, everyone, thanks for dropping in. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Mac. Yeah, definitely have to check that thing out. So I guess his video backfired on him. If he's getting a lot of negative comments in his comments section. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to check that out. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. And as always, just keep on playing, keep on rolling those dice, and keep on expanding your horizons, playing as many different games as you can. And yeah, he got roasted on an X post also. All right, I'm definitely gonna have to check it out. All right, you'll have a good one. Thanks for stopping in, everyone, and enjoy the holidays. And I'll see you probably tomorrow, the next day, and like I said, about 3 days away. And then I'll be back Saturday night and into Sunday.